someone for assistance. See, it's because we allow people, places, and things to connect or attach themselves to us. We're constantly allowing people, places, and things to attach themselves to us. We're constantly attaching people, places, and things to us, and then we wonder why hell is breaking loose in our lives. We wonder why our lives are so miserable. We wonder why we're going through all hell. Because we allow people, places, and things to attach themselves to us, and when they attach themselves to us, they pretty much don't attach themselves to us because they need us. They attach themselves to us because they wanted to control us. You see, we started off as it being a nice thing. You know, I'm going to give you a ride to the store because it's the right thing to do. Or I'm going to let you stay here for a couple of days because it's the right thing to do. And you take them to the store, and next you know that one trip to the store, and you started off at 12 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden your whole afternoon has been monopolized by that person telling you, oh, take me here, oh, take me there. And then you say, and then if you decide to say no, they act like you owe them. Like it's a privilege for you to even be in their presence. Like it's a privilege. And you didn't spend all your time where you could have been doing anything else, being submissive to somebody that don't really care about you. It's like the blind man asking a lost man for directions. How many of us are guilty of asking somebody lost for directions? How many of us are guilty of being blind, asking a lost man for direction? Or being lost and asking a blind man for direction? In Amos 3:3, let's go there. Amos 3:3. I know some of you probably didn't even know that it's even in the Bible, but yeah, this in the Bible is Amos. A-M-O-S. It's close to, it's right after Joel. And if you went past Malachi and Obadiah, you went too far. Amos 3:3. And this is one of those scriptures you always hear people quote. And it says, ask. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Can two walk together except they be agreed? Or most people quote it a different way. How can two walk together unless they're in agreement? Many of us walk together and disagree, so we constantly never get to our destination. We walk together and not agreeing, and we find ourselves wondering why we're not getting to our destination. How many of you are familiar with those when you watch some of those old movies where they have the sack race, or they had their legs tied to the other person, and they run the race, and they had a person, and you run in a race, and it's like one of your legs are tied to the other person's leg, or your leg is in the bag, and you're hopping, and you're going, or you see a movie where two people are handcuffed together. Now, if they're not in agreement on how they're going to get to their destination, then they will never get to their destination. They'll only wind up hurting one another. Because if one goes this way, the other one goes that way, someone's going to get hurt in the tug of war. And in Amos 3:3, it says, how can two walk together except they agree? Are you in agreement with the person that you're walking with? Are you in agreement with everyone that's in your life circle? Are you in agreement, or are they just controlling you? You see, because if they're controlling you, then you have no life. If they're controlling you, then you have no destiny. If they're controlling you, then they're your God and you're their servant. It's like the blind man asking the lost man for directions. You see, many of us are so spiritually blinded that we didn't know. Now, the word blind means unable to see, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Unwilling or unable to become aware of. So if you're blind, it's hard to be alert. It means it's unable to identify by means of the sense or understanding. Spiritually blind means unable to discern or unable to understand. Lost. Lost means to have gone astray, missed the way, no longer belonging to. So when you're lost, you're disconnected. And many people are disconnected from God. Let's go to Matthew 15 and 14. Matthew 15 and 14. And it starts off like, it says, and they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind leads the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. You see how it says it's the blind leader? It says they be blind leaders. Are you at 14 of Matthew? It says they be what? Blind? No. They be blind who? Guys. Oh, you got guys? Okay. Okay, blind guys or guys is a leader. But mine said leader. You'll be blind leaders of the blind. Right. So that means that we have ministers and we have people out there that's teachers. And in the Amplified version it says teachers. So we got people out there that are blinding spiritually the people of God. So we wonder why we're in the situation that we're in, because we're being blinded and deceived, or blind meaning deceived, by people around us. Blinded and deceived to the point that we became slaves to the enemy and didn't know how. Blind and deceived to the point that we find ourselves in a hellish situation asking God why. And God said that because you haven't sought me, you have sought the wrong person, you have gotten direction from the wrong person. And like I said earlier today, be careful who you ask for directions from. And he says, they be blind leaders, teachers. The question is, who is leading you? Who is leading you? Are they leading you in the right way, or are they leading you in the path of destruction? As we looked earlier, and if you begin to read in Hosea 4 and 6, it says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because you rejected me, I will reject your children. And in that whole text, if you begin to read that whole text of Hosea, Hosea begins to speak in regards to how God began to speak to how these people, these pimps in the pulpit, have taken control of the finances. They have taken control of everything to the point that it's hard to tell who's the preacher and who's the servant, who's the shepherd and who's the sheep. It said how these ministers have misdirected and misguided the people to the point that they are headed to hell and don't know it. They find themselves in church every single week, or when church open up, they're in the choir, they're everywhere, but yet their pastor is justifying the sinful lifestyle that they live. Saying that it's okay that when it comes time, God will change you. When it's in reality that if you don't want to get rid of it, God won't take it from you. God will not override your will. God will not override what you are desiring. So we got to ask ourselves, are you lost? And who are you getting directions from? In Matthew 15 and 14 it says, no, we went there. But yet, as we begin to look at that leader, that blind leader, that leader who is so deceived to the point that he hasn't been in study, hasn't been in the presence of God, hasn't did anything, but just began to speak from self-knowledge. And as he began to spew out self-knowledge, he begins to infect the whole congregation. And as they slowly die of spiritual poison. We looked at Jeremiah where it spoke how the people were lost because of the shepherd. The people were lost because they were misguided, and they were lost because they decided to worship an idol instead of worshiping the Father. But yet then we ask ourselves, God, then if you love me, if this, if that, then God began to speak to you. The reason you're in the mess you're in because you chose that. You see, because of free will, we've came in agreement with where we're at. A lot of people's life might be the greatest thing ever right now, but what you put into and invest into right now can change your whole situation when you find yourself in a hellish situation. You see, we believe that we're never, you remember when you was younger, you felt like, I'll never get old? You know, it seemed like old would never come, but yet we go, I can't wait till I'm old, I can't wait till I'm out my mama's house, I can't wait till I'm out my daddy's house, I can't wait. But now, we wish that we didn't have to go through that anymore. But it's like with us now, it's like, it's hard to even say that anymore. I would like to be young in my own place